Drive, baby, drive. Drive, baby, drive is what the wife said who was outside the car. I'm talking about Minnesota. I'm talking about the good woman. Good woman, is she? Well, let's all review that. Is she, the woman in the car and the ICE officer, is she a good woman? We'll get back to that in a second. That just came to me as I'm making the video. I'm Carrie Blazer. Legal name is Carrie Bazoglo. My ex-husband's Israeli. I'm the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene. And today, I saw the new video that was released. And of course, the administration played it because we all need to see ourselves. We all need to see the level of batshit fucking crazy that's out there. Okay? And why? In past lives, I've been a high priestess, I've been a shaman, I'm a healer. I'm a healer. It's my job to know why. So today we're going to get deep into that. But why don't we start with, the video of this drive, baby, drive. I'm just like, I'm having a hard time, that's not it. So, oh shoot, I'm having a really hard time. I don't have it pulled up. But let's keep going into it. There's a new video out today, and it is on the camera of the ICE officer. I don't need to have it here. You can look it up. I want you to do the work to look it up, okay? And it shows the officer getting out of the car with his cell phone. It shows him walking around the front of the car until he talks to the driver, who's smiling at her all nice as she's sitting in the middle of the fucking road blocking the ICE agents. That car, that couple, those women were harassing ICE agents all day long. So he gets out of the car, he walks around, then he goes to the back and he shows his camera to the license plate, and the wife, who had gotten out of the car, starts harassing him. Well, that'll always be our license plate. And he walks around the other side of the car. And then well, come for me. You're going to come for me? I'm ex-veteran. Maybe you're going to go eat lunch, bad boy. Taunting him. And when you taunt a man, his nervous system shuts off and you're just a threat. He disconnects from any emotional attachment to you to protect himself. Okay? Then he walks around to the front of the car, right? And she's staring right at him. She starts to back up, and then the wife says, "Drive, baby, drive," and then she hits the officer. Now, it's hard to hear, so you're going to have to turn it up loud, but there's other people around, I think, are screaming, "Drive, drive." So it wasn't just the wife. And we wonder what the fucking problem is, that people are going out in the streets confronting our federal government with their bodies, and we wonder why they're dying. Are you fucking stupid? Do you have a brain? Does it work at all? Why isn't your brain working? Why isn't your nervous system, that's your brain, giving you a more kind of positive next step? How is it that such crazy comes out of women? Because now there's tons of evidence that they were in a community called ICE Watch, teaching them how to combat and confront ICE agents. And taking kids too. Talk about a devouring mother. What the? Well, that's what I thought. We've all heard the devouring mother who just emotionally suffocates her children and uses guilt and shame to control them. Oh yeah, my childhood. So I understand it. My mom was an alcoholic and my dad was a workaholic, okay? But let's review. So I start thinking, devouring mother. I'm but they're combating authority, and authority is masculine. Okay, well, is there a devouring father? Well, ChatGPT answered that question for me. Okay, so let's get into that. All right. A devouring father may rule through fear, intimidation, and unpredictability. My ex-husband require the children to conform to his values, beliefs, or ambitions. I've been trying to separate you from my kids. This is parental separation right here. Punish independence or disagreement. My way or the highway. You have to do this and this and this. Like, I'm just gonna say it. My older daughter, she's in college, which is a requirement for her dad. He lives in $1 million home, and he made her apply for financial aid while working and destroying herself. Let's say, get a job, apply for financial aid, and do college while, I have all this money. What the fuck? Okay, he uses shame, rage, and withdrawal to enforce control. Yep. Treat children as extensions of his ego. Oh yeah, my son, who has mild autism, is an Eagle Scout. And he always told him, oh, that Eagle Scout's half mine. What the fuck? I mean, do you get a college degree and then on the degree it lists all the professors as if it's part theirs too because they taught you and helped? There's the crazy, okay? Undermine the child's confidence to maintain authority. Completely undermining any self-confidence, self-belief, and so they're completely dependent on the father. Okay, so what's the psychological impact on the child? Let's see. Chronic fear or hypervigilance. Oh, ice, right? Suppressed anger or identity confusion. Oh, gosh, we haven't had any identity wounds, have we? Like, no one's talking, there's no identity politics, there's no shit like that, right? No. Okay, let's see what else is here. Okay, difficulty trusting authority. That's not a problem every fucking where. I mean, everywhere that's a problem, okay? That they don't trust authority. Okay, so then Trump derangement syndrome is a devouring father wound, okay? Rebellion followed by guilt. Oh, yeah, that happened here too, right? So before the video from the ICE agent came out, we saw a video of the wife sitting outside saying, it's all my fault. She rebelled, said, drive, baby, drive. Wife took off, got shot. It's all my fault. I mean, people give themselves away. We just need to learn how to fucking listen. Jesus. Shame around self-expression, okay? Internalized harsh inner critic. Well, all that applies. Now let's look a little bit more about a devouring mother versus a devouring father. So a devouring mother smothers, push. A devouring father dominates. A devouring mother controls with guilt. My mom. Guilt, fear, guilt, and shame. Now, there aren't any media outlets that would be acting like a devouring mother, would there be? No, that couldn't be a societal problem, in the collective. No. Okay, block separation, you need me, okay? Devouring father dominates, controls through fear, blocks autonomy, right? Like my son, that your Eagle Scout's half mine. You obey me. My son, I live in California. My daughters are here. No, my daughters made those. Where's my son? Interesting, right? He moved to Minnesota a few years ago. I need to have eyes everywhere. Okay, so let's talk about good woman, which totally ties to Mary Magdalene. Great synchronicity. I fucking love it, okay? So, what is a good woman, okay? We'll talk about that. What is a good woman in a second, but how does it connect to Mary Magdalene? So, how it connects to Mary Magdalene is Mary Magdalene, after the crucifixion, sometime later, moved to southern France and helped start a religion based on the basic premise that self-love creates heaven on earth, which is exactly what the early Christians were saying. And they were forming their own communities outside the colonial, imperial movement in Europe at that time, 2,000 years ago. But of course, communal doesn't go along with imperial. So as we're, kind of all arguing over this, right? With the socialism and the capitalism, what's right and what's wrong and what are we doing? And they called you're a good woman, you're part of that religion, or you're a good man. So let's, what's her name? Her last name is good. I don't know her first name, but is she a good woman? Right? They have 3 children. Her youngest, that father of that child has already died. And now they've decided to confront ICE with their car and their bodies. And the ICE agents are, federal authority and have the authority to shoot you if you get in the way. Does that sound like someone who's grounded in reality, who's a good mother? Or are the media outlets using shame, guilt, and fear like a devouring mother to get you to, see her as a victim and keep going along with the status quo? And interesting, right? So first off, they, made that decision that the youngest now has no biological parent. Now, the other two, I don't know, do they have a biological father? I don't freaking know. I haven't looked into it that much. But, she's there and she's taunting the authority for hours after they had a brick thrown in the back of their window, and she's blocking the road and all kinds of havoc around there. Right? And, they're protecting their neighbors. So these are women with children protecting illegal immigrants who bring drugs in the country, rapists and murderers in the country, terrorists in the country. How are they protective of their children? How are they healthy, good women in their heart when they want to surround their children with all kinds of problems? And then they want to blame authority, right? But that allowing in of people that are unhealthy, is that a good woman? Or is that an unhealthy woman? Because, when we're allowing all this unhealthy around us and we have children, are we healthy in our heart? Are we protecting our children? Or are we taking our children to be social activists and stand up to ICE, which is happening in Minnesota? All of this is happening because of generational trauma. All of this is happening from the breakdown of the family. And that is my contention, that the only way forward is to focus on a healthy family and what creates a healthy family. The first step towards trans was feminism. Basically believing that there's no women and there's no men and we can just switch. But that's denying biological reality. And now we know that. Of course, we didn't have all the scientific knowledge then that we have now. But now we know that women need to stay in their right brain 90% of the day to be emotionally, hormonally balanced. That's the compassion, the forgiveness, the self-reflection, the compat for self and creative. And then men need to stay, in their left brain 90% of the day to balance their hormones. That's the logic, and the planning is in the left brain. And the strategizing. So we have women planning to attack ICE. That's a left brain activity, right? Because they don't trust authority out there, so they put themselves in their own authority. But then that puts them out of hormonal balance, and then they start making decisions that are super dangerous. This has been going on for a long time. This is not new, news that women are out of hormonal balance, and how do we get there? Go through the Industrial Revolution and you separate women and babies and put them in the workforce, and then their kids are taken care of by somebody else. They don't have time to take care of themselves. And, all of their womanly work was industrialized. So now you're not useful in the home, bitch. Get in the office, get in the factory, leave your kids. We had a whole system worked out where women made the clothes at home and stayed home with the kids. And then, the dad worked, of course, we've had a lot of advancements in them, but we need to remember the parts of history that worked and the parts that didn't work, especially when we're talking about healing generational trauma, this is exactly what it is. The media is our devouring mother, okay? And then people who have a devouring father at home are like, F you to the government, and then those are the socialists. Well, everything will just be fair, and everybody, and the people on top, they won't be able to control us anymore because we're just the victims, and the landlords in New York are out to get us, and we have to communalize all the property. Oh my God, what the fuck? You've just lost your shit on every fucking level. So, I'm the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene. I am the divine feminine, okay, on the planet. So it's my job to expand our emotional range. It's my job to create opportunities for everyone to see themselves and expand their emotional range. Well, what is our emotional range? Okay, well, it starts at shame, about 20 hertz. That's about as low as you can go. And enlightenment is an emotion, and that's 1,000 hertz. So it's my job to figure out on my own first how I could take my own soul through that journey. How do I get my soul to be able to go down into that shame and then come back up and go all the way up to enlightenment and have capacity to experience a full emotional range? Well, I researched the laws of physics, and I, studied under, learned from Dr. Bruce Lipton and Einstein and Rumi and Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Gabor Mate and, a lot of people and physicists. And so it really boils down to, how do we learn to surf the waves of life? Okay. And here's the 2-ball experiment. So you have 2 balls, and one goes slightly down. They're identical, same size, same weight. One track goes slightly downhill, and one track has hills and valleys, but the distance traveled is the same. Okay? So which ball do you think goes to the finish line first? Is it the downhill or the hills and valleys? If we start at the top, because you're at the bottom, you can't move. Distance traveled here is longer. It's the hills and valleys, because that's what makes energy fluctuate, going from the highs and the lows. And fluctuating energy is alive energy. The fluctuation is what breeds life. So we're here to go from the shame all the way up to the enlightenment and then back down again, and then up and down. And that's how face your fear. As Carl Jung says, where your fear is, there is your task. Your fear, how do I surrender, go down, and then go up? Surrender, the feminine is the surrender. Like the woman drops her handkerchief and waits for the man to act, right? So the feminine, the surrender, the feminine goes first. All right, I'll get back to that in a second. So we have to learn how to process our emotional pain, how to turn our wounds into wisdom, and linked below will be my 6 divine feminine self-love strategies. They're self-reflection strategies teaching you how to move through your emotions successfully, letting go of all your shame, guilt, and fear. Our souls plan our lives based on our wounds for self-improvement opportunities. So regret and remorse are stupid, even though we all feel it, because my soul knows everything and it plans my life. So how can it be wrong? Yeah, it was hard for me to accept too, right? All that hardship, oh, not wrong, gotta learn from it. Oh, all that greatness, not wrong, gotta learn from it. Oh, I lost that, not wrong, gotta learn from it. We are here to learn how to operate our souls. We're souls having a human experience. And when we accept that we're a soul having a human experience, we say the ridiculousness of killing others, because that soul is just gonna come fucking back in the same kind of either wounds and wisdom they have. So killing, you gotta kill to protect yourself. But I'm going to go kill that country, and then I'm going to die. We had to learn our lessons. But where are we now? Okay, where are we now? Now that I'm saying, 2,000 years later, I'm the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene, right? In 2012, the Mayan calendar showed that it was the end of a time cycle, and the new time cycle is a time for self-healing. Okay, and so in last June, my birthday is June 25th, I started accepting all the signs and synchronicities that my soul is the same soul as Mary Magdalene after I published my book. And then in September, I started making YouTube videos, and then the second coming happened. And you can check out the YouTube videos for that. And then I wrote my Wisdom of Peace plan, opening up the crucifixion wound. And then, as part of the second coming is a soul contract, an agreement with Native American souls that we are gonna, kind of come together and heal. And so then after I wrote my Wisdom of Peace plan, I started working on the Manifest Destiny wound, okay? And my mom always had 2 names for me. It was Carrie and it was Shenandoah. Shenandoah means Great Plains, or Daughter of the Stars in the kind of like Great Plains Native American languages. And there's like boats, Shenandoah Valley, Shenandoah boats. And when I was in Israel in 1994, I worked for the USO, and I worked for AT&T in the USO. So I would go on the battleships and the aircraft carriers and stuff and help the sailors call home. I went on the Shenandoah in Israel. Talk about signs and synchronicities, that the second coming is the same thing as the Great Purification. That's according to the Hopi Native American tribe in Arizona. I was born in Scottsdale, Arizona. And yes, I'm very connected to Charlie Kirk, who's from Scottsdale, Arizona. This is how our souls communicate to us. When you see signs and synchronicities, pay attention, because synchronicities happen all day long. I didn't plan to talk about good woman. It hit me right as you saw when I'm making the video. Science synchronicity, right? So what can we do now? I'm going to link my 6 divine feminine self-love strategies below. But if you watch ABC, CNN, it is a devouring mother. And I don't recommend it. Anyway, please like and subscribe. I'll make videos as they come up. And you can check me out on Instagram or my website, carrieblazer.com, or buy my book, My Inner Heroine, Exploring Feminine Pain. And I have client services. You can look at my website for that. All right, take care. Bye.